process of devotion service, so this process of devotion service we practice under the guidance of and the mood of a pure devotee of the Lord. And we associate with the like-minded devotees and study scriptures. So this is called sadhana. As Srila Prabhupada mentioned that this method is applicable both in sadhana and sadhya stage. Actually, the process we follow is the goal. Process is the goal. So it's not like you become a Siddha Purush and perfected in your sadhana by following the process, and now you don't have to do anything. No, this is Mayavadi idea that sadhana is the means to reach the goal of liberation. But in devotion service, process is the goal. A neophyte devotee also follow the procedure, like process, like chanting, arti, studying Lord's pastimes, instructions from Bhagavad Gita and reading Srimad Bhāgavatam. And a pure devotee of the Lord also follow the same process. But the difference is spontaneity, the mood and the feeling when we following the process is different level. So when it says here that the both in the stage of sadhana and in the stage of sadhya, when this process is followed. So process, because process is the goal, that's why. And we don't leave the process. Process is not like a means to reach somewhere. So that is the big difference. And that is mentioned here. Even last week, Mahesh Prabhu was asking this. So because in advanced stage, devotees, we're reading this Raganuga Bhakti. So Raga is a spontaneous love. So we doesn't have to force ourselves to do that. It comes automatically, naturally. So that is the difference. So it's like more relishable in that time, on that level. But at the moment, like we have to force ourselves, so we have to engage in these principles and on all this process. But in that stage, it comes naturally. So yes. Now we're going to read further. I think is Mahesh Prabhu here? No. Okay. Right. Yes, Mother. So we'll carry on reading.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah, we carry on reading on that now from.
Yeah, Srila. Yes. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur has commented as follows upon this verse. One who has not yet developed interest in Krishna consciousness should give up all material motives and train his mind by following the progressive regulative principles, namely chanting and remembering Krishna and his name, form, quality, pastimes, and so forth. In this way, after developing a taste for such things, one should try to live in Vrindavan and pass his time constantly remembering Krishna's name, fame, pastimes, and qualities under the direction and protection of an expert devotee. This is the sum and substance of all instruction regarding the cultivation of devotional service.
Yes. Yeah, we stop here, Mataji. So, yeah. So this is the next point that where Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Maharaj has said that one who has not yet developed interest in Krishna consciousness should give up all material motives and train his mind by following the progressive regulative principles, namely chanting and remembering Krishna and his name, form, qualities, pastime, and so forth. So this means that one should follow Vaidhi Bhakti or Sadhana Bhakti until developing the taste for Harinam. Then once achieved that spontaneity in the mood, then he should live in Vrindavan and engage full time in remembering Krishna's name, form, pastimes, and qualities under the direction and protection of an expert devotee. Again, it's not that independently you go to Vrindavan and reside there and do bhakti. Still, you need to be under the shelter of an expert devotee. That is the main point, that you can't do independently. And actually, there are in Vrindavan, it's a dham. So there are two types of devotees. One is called Bhajnanandi, so who are interested in doing bhajans or doing bhakti process, staying at one place, generally in dhams. And second is Goshtanandi, so who go out there and preach the holy name and doing sankirtana in the cities. So our mood is preaching, which was the mood of Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, Guru Maharaj, Prabhupada. So Srila Prabhupada followed that mood and established ISKCON to propagate Krishna consciousness all over the world. So in Hare Krishna WECAN, we also follow the mood of His Holiness Mahavishnu Goswami Maharaj, and which is the same mood of preaching. So we are studying the Srila Prabhupada books in a systematic way as per Guru Maharaj's instructions and preaching in the same mood. So this is our Tishtan Vraje, residing in Vrindavan. Because Guru Maharaj also said that we should be retiring every day and studying Srila Prabhupada books every day. So when we studying Srila Prabhupada books every day, we associate with Srila Prabhupada directly. And this is the Tishtan Vraje. So we, under the instruction of expert devotees, which is Srila Prabhupada, So it's the real meaning of Tishtan Vraja is like that. But means, of course, people go to Vrindavan and can reside in Vrindavan, but it's a very advanced stage, because in neophyte stage, if you go there, so it's very, there are certain etiquettes you have to follow, so many things. So that's why it's not recommended. But our Tishtan Vraje is that when every day we read Srila Prabhupada books, Srimad Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, and we associate with Srila Prabhupada, because Srila Prabhupada is talking to us, and we take that instructions. So this is the point in here. So till now, is any question about these points? Right. Okay, so we'll read again. Okay, now the next para. Yeah. Yes, Mataji.
In the neophyte stage, one should always engage in hearing Krishna Katha. This is called Shravanadasa, the stage of hearing. By constantly hearing the transcendental holy name of Krishna and hearing of his transcendental form, qualities, and pastimes, one can attain to the stage of acceptance called Varanadasa. When one attains this stage, he becomes attached to the hearing of Krishna Katha. When one is able to chant in ecstasy, he attains the stage of Smaranavastha, the stage of remembering. Recollection, absorption, meditation, constant remembrance, and trance are the 5 items of progressive Krishna Smaran. At first, remembrance of Krishna may be interrupted at intervals, but later remembrance proceeds uninterrupted. When remembrance is uninterrupted, it becomes concentrated and is called meditation. When meditation expands and becomes constant, it is called anusmriti. By uninterrupted and unceasing anusmriti, one enters the stage of samadhi or spiritual trance. After smaranadasha or samadhi has fully developed, the soul comes to understand his original constitutional position. At that time, he can perfectly and clearly understand his eternal relationship with Krishna. That is called Sampatti Dasha, the perfection of life.
Yes, Mata, stop here. So, yeah, here Srila Prabhupada are explaining different steps of Raganuga Bhakti. That the first is the Shravanadas. Shravanadas means always hearing Krishna Katha. So when we, like previous verses, when we doing our practices, with Adrad Anudinam, very respectfully and sincerely, then we develop a taste of hearing. We want to hear about Krishna Katha. And that the second stage is Varnadasa or Varnadas. That is a stage of acceptance. So then you get in a stage of where you accept it. You accept you always hearing Krishna Katha, and then you're convinced about it. And then the third stage is Smarnavastha. Now this Smarnavastha got another 5 stages. So this one is stage where it's called the remembrance, stage of remembrance. So this stage consists of like 5 items, like recollecting, absorption, meditation, constant remembrance, and then trance. Now, so Srila Prabhupada said that initially remembrance may be interrupted, but when remembrance is uninterrupted, it is called meditation. So here note it that this meditation is not like you sit in one place in dhyan, as we got this conception that you do meditation just in secluded place. And now this meditation is different. So it's a remembrance, constant remembrance of Krishna. It's always going on. So it's not like you just sitting in one place, closed your eyes. So it's different. That is a different yogic process. So that is for yogis. So this is constant remembrance of Krishna, which develops in Anusmriti. Anusmriti. Smriti means remembrance, that constant remembrance, very dense, like very intense. So then one enters the samadhi or spiritual trance. It's called trance also, So now again, there is a different conception of samadhis. Like in samadhis, we've seen that yogis sitting in one place and going in trance, and they don't know anything about from outside what's going on. So this samadhi is different. So this one, when in samadhi, you understand your original constitutional position. What's that mean? It means that we understand that we are spirit soul, right? And we know at the moment, but realizing stage is when you reach to the samadhi, and then you act on that platform. It's called when you are acting on spiritual platform, not the bodily platform. So that is real samadhi. So in that samadhi, then the next stage comes. It's called Sampati Dasa. So Sampati means it's given. So it's the prem stage. So the perfection of life, where clearly understand the eternal relationship with Krishna. So that's where is the highest stage, when you achieve that highest stage. So the first stage, the Shravana Dasa, when you're hearing, comes when we are free from these material desires and hear Krishna's pastimes with natural taste. Again, this stage comes when we cultivate Krishna consciousness carefully, when we chant seriously and follow our sadhana bhakti strictly. When purification happens, our anarthas in the heart getting purified, then we develop this higher taste. So we want to hear more and more Krishna pastimes and studying Srimad Bhāgavatam every day. So the second stage, Varnadasa, is when our position is revealed in our heart. After the constant hearing in higher taste, the stage of acceptance comes. So actually, this is a higher stage of spontaneous devotional service. And at neophyte level, this just gives us the roadmap. At this stage, I'm talking about it, but it's a very elevated stage, So but it gives us a roadmap, and we know that what is our goal, where we need to progress, where we need to go. So we can, because we cannot jump or we cannot artificially achieve this stage, because there is a process and we must follow it. And that's why it mentioned that anusmrityo kramena in this verse. So the remembrance, the anusmriti, comes in step by step, gradually, kramena. So you can't jump from your current position to the next position. So it will reveal to yourself as you, it depends how intense you are, how intense desires you got. So now, very important point is that this whole process we follow under the shelter of our Guru Maharaj, because in like-minded devotees, in association of like-minded devotees, not by like you can go here and there, or you watch something on YouTube, or you research something on internet or whatever sources, and then you following. No, because your source of knowledge is one, and you're following a particular mood, then this progress happens, on this path. Because if we fail, and why I'm saying that, like, if we fail to follow this point, then we are very easily get deviated. A slight deviation from our path can take one to totally different direction, totally different place. Because if you're going like in a very big road and you take a little turn, and you won't reach your place, you will go somewhere else. So that's why to avoid the deviation, that's where this point is very, very important. And so catching the mood and following the footsteps is very, very important in this path. So it might take a while to understand that as a process works gradually, but it can happen quickly also. Like if we have a very intense desire, then we can develop fastly. You can purify yourself very fast. But again, the process must be followed. So this is the main point of this para. Although there are different stages described here, they are very, like, they are comes in Raganuga Bhakti stage. So it's a very elevated stage. So yeah, so that's how it gives us a roadmap. It gives us a goal there. At the moment, it might be worse for us, but it gives us encouragement, So, okay, so we read the last para now for the purport.
Why are other intermediate devotees not showing their faces? Why only Devanshi Mataji always shows her face? Others are not showing. Why like this? See, if they are not interested, then we always close our faces. This is not acceptable to us. Why the tutors are not telling them?
Sorry, Prabhuji, I think the devotees joined a little bit later.
No, they should show their faces now.
Okay.
Why are they not showing their faces? Why their tutors are not telling them? It should not be depending upon us to tell them. Discipline should come by the tutors, not us. And we've done the same thing again and again. Only this one girl always shows her face. Nobody else does this. This is very, very wrong. Please don't come otherwise. If you are late, it's your problem. Switch on the camera, please, all of you. From intermediate program, hands forward. You always switch on the camera when you come. Talk to your tutors otherwise. I'll ask them the question, not you people.
Okay, Prabhuji, thank you. Yes, please, devotees, switch on your cameras, because otherwise it's very impersonal, when we can't see you.
We'll not do the programs. We won't do the programs.
Yes.
We'll do only for those people who are serious.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Sunday evening is very busy for us too. Morning is very busy for them. They have promised us they're going to be very busy, and they'll be showing their faces.
Yes.
And they'll be serious. This is 8th text, such an important text. They cannot take it lightly. I'm very sorry to say these things.
Parth Prabhu sent the message that he's going to switch in 5 minutes. So he was just outside doing some work. What is his name? Maresh Prabhu was here. I think was switching on.
You please continue.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you. Okay. All right. So I'll share my screen again. Right. So we read this last para of this purport. Can you see, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji. Sorry, 1 second. My audio is connected from my phone. That's why.
Okay.
Chaitanya Charitamrita advises those who are neophytes to give up all kinds of motivated desires and simply engage in the regulative devotional service of the Lord according to the directions of scripture. In this way, a neophyte can gradually develop attachment for Krishna's name, fame, form, qualities, and so forth. When one has developed such attachment, he can spontaneously serve the lotus feet of Krishna even without following the regulative principles. This stage is called Raga Bhakti, or devotional service in spontaneous love. At that stage, the devotee can follow in the footsteps of one of the eternal associates of Krishna in Vrindavan. This is called Raganuga Bhakti. Raganuga Bhakti, or spontaneous devotional service, can be executed in the Shantaras when one aspires to be like Krishna's cows, or the stick or flute in the hand of Krishna, or the flowers around Krishna's neck. In the Dasya Ras, one follows in the footsteps of servants like Chitrak, Patrak, or Raktak. In the friendly Sakhya Ras, one can become a friend like Baladev, Sridama, or Sudama. In the Vatsalya Ras, characterized by parental affection, one can become like Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. And in the Madhurya Ras, characterized by conjugal love, one can become like Srimati Radharani or her lady friends such as Lalita, and serving maids, Manjaris like Rupa and Rati. This is the essence of all instruction in the matter of devotional service.
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. So, so in this last para, so here is the point is here about the Raga Bhakti. So a devotee develops such attachment and he can spontaneously serve the lotus feet of Krishna even without following the regulative principles. So this point is here. So it means that he follows the regulative principles without forcing himself, like spontaneity. Because it comes naturally to him. The devotee won't do anything which is not conducive to devotional service. So the attachment to Krishna is very high, that automatically he detached from material things. So that's why we cultivate this attachment, that it's natural, but it's because we are conditioned for so many births, we are conditioned souls. So, and we forgot this attachment, we forgot this relationship to Krishna. And by following these regulative principles of bhakti process, we are cultivating and reviving our relationship with the Lord. But at the Raga Bhakti stage, attachment is spontaneous. And what we call regulative principles are natural behavior of the stage. So even say that they don't follow the regulative principles, but it doesn't mean that they're forcing themselves, because it's their natural behavior, so they don't do otherwise, like they can't think anything of without other than Krishna. So this is the stage of elevated devotees or personal associates of the Lord. So we must not misunderstand this point, that once you reach Raga Bhakti stage, then you don't have to follow any regulative principles. Only a person who is artificially positioned himself at this stage can think like that. Oh, now I've reached on this position, now I can do whatever I like. No, as we studied before, that it comes gradually. It's no jumping, no skipping of the process. So we cannot jump to the spontaneous love stage. So it's revealed to us. We can't force it. Now, Srila Prabhupada said that in this stage, the devotee can follow in the footsteps of one of the eternal associates of Krishna in Vrindavan. Now, this is called Raga Nuga Bhakti. Anuga means following. So and this spontaneous love, devotional service can be executed in 5 main rasas that Srila Prabhupada explained here: Shanta Rasa, Dasyaras and Sakhyaras, Vatsalyaras and Madhuryaras. So at neophyte stage that we cannot imitate the eternal associates of the Lord. Once we are qualified and our constitutional position is revealed to us, then we can follow in the footsteps of Krishna's eternal associates. And these associates are not ordinary living beings. They are not like us, like Nanda Maharaj, Yashoda Maya, Gopa, Sridama, Sudama, Sakhis, and Radharani, so friends like Lalita, Vishakha, and their manjaris or maid servants. They are eternal liberated souls. So they are like Nitya Mukta souls. Means they are not conditioned like us or get material bonded. So they are in Leela eternally in the pastime of the Lord. So what about us, like conditioned souls? Because we are Nitya Baddha souls, so we are eternally conditioned and bonded in material world. And that's why the Lord comes as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to distribute the love of Godhead, regardless the qualification. Lord sent his servants to teach us, and Lord Krishna sent Srila Prabhupada to save us. Now we can study Srila Prabhupada books and understand this very confidential matter under the bona fide guidance. Actually, this is very confidential matter, a very confidential knowledge that we are studying. And it like in the past, it wasn't very easily available to everyone. Only the serious devotees or serious person who serve the pure devotee of the Lord get this confidential knowledge. But it's very easily made available nowadays for us, only causeless mercy of Srila Prabhupada. But we are getting this confidential knowledge first, It's like opposite. So we're getting the knowledge first, and then we starting the devotion service. So and we can easily misunderstand that, but we shouldn't be taking this knowledge as a cheap, as very cheaply. It should be very it's a very serious matter. So I found a couple of references in Chaitanya Charitamrita. I just want to share here. It's in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 1, verse 29 and 30. And it says, Lao Chaitanya Nama, Chaitanya he ye bhakti kare. Sorry, I'll read again. Chaitanya Seva, Chaitanya Gao, Lao Chaitanya Nama, Chaitanya ye bhakti kare, sei mora prana. Translation: Nityanand Prabhu requested everyone to serve Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, chant his glories and utter his name. Nityanand Prabhu claimed that persons to be his life and soul who rendered devotional service unto Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And second verse, Ei mata loke Chaitanya bhakti laila dina hina nindaka sabare nistharila. So translation, in this way, Srila Nityanand Prabhu introduced the cult of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to everyone without discrimination, even though the people were fallen souls and blasphemers. They were delivered by this process. So this is the point, that I am Dinahina, means fallen soul, and Nindaka, blasphemer. But I have no qualification whatsoever. But because of Nityanand Prabhu's mercy, we will be delivered by the process. And we must have this firm faith and sincerity to the process. Otherwise, the process is there. Definitely process works, but it's all depends on how much faith we have. Like if we have 100% faith, if we have a very intense desire, then it takes less time. But again, it's no compromise in the process. So I think, yeah. So that's all the points that I prepared for this verse. So now, if you have any questions or any comments on what we studied so far in this purport.
Yes, Prabhuji, just one clarification. No, not clarification. I just wanted to confirm if I understood it correctly, because you did explain this point regarding that when one has developed such attachment, he can spontaneously serve the lotus feet of Krishna even without following the regulative principles.
Hmm.
So what this means is that when a devotee is at such an elevated stage, they like we are still neophyte. I am still neophyte, so I have to consciously try to follow these principles. But for them, it becomes like a second nature. So then they don't have to consciously think about it, because it has become their second nature. Not that they don't follow the principles; they are
Yes.
still following the principles, but it has become a second nature to them. That's why
Hmm.
they don't have to consciously think about it. Is my understanding correct?
Yes, Mataji, because they don't think otherwise. Like it's not like you know they have to force themselves. It's a natural behavior, as like when we read pastimes of Lord Krishna's pastimes in Srimad Bhagavatam, and you will read like Damodar Leela we studied, and it's very like those personal associates or eternal associates of Lord Krishna. They are totally absorbed in Krishna, so they don't think anything else. So their stage is very elevated stage. So, and we can't replace them. Like somebody thinking, okay, when we reach to the spontaneous love or raga bhakti, then we'll enter the Leela. We can't, because we have to be servants of the servants of the servants of the servant, as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said. So it's like maid servants of the manjaris, that's how it works. So those are the eternal servants. So it's their nature. It's nature. So they don't have to force. It's not like they're doing sense gratification separately and they have to force like us. Yes. Is that clear, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, that's clear. One other question that I had to ask. It may be a little basic, but so in the first line of this paragraph, Prabhupada writes that Chaitanya Charitamrit advises those who are neophytes to give up all kinds of motivated desires and simply engage in the regulative devotional service of the Lord according to the directions of Scripture. So there are two things. One is to give up all kinds of motivated desires, and the second thing is to simply engage in the regulative devotional service. So my question is that for like this is an advice for the neophyte devotees. So how does do both of these things happen simultaneously? That you give up the motivated desires, and then you simultaneously engage in devotional service, or that it is a byproduct of engaging in devotional service that you lose your motivated desires, or that you consciously try to give up these desires and then that's how you progress? There are a lot of permutation combinations. So which one is it? Like, what is the perfect order of things?
Yes, Mataji, no, that's very good question. Actually, this point is very good point. It's like these are the two things we have to do, to reach to this for our progress. Obviously, like when we come to bhakti, because we are conditioned souls, we got so much conditioning, so we can't stop material desire. So we start following the process. So as we start following the process, as we studied before, we have Shraddha, and then sadhu sangha, bhajan kriya, anartha nivritti, so when these anarthas, these are the material desires, are the anarthas in our heart, so they get purified when we start processing start following the process sincerely. And when we start so the process is given in shastras, is given to us by our Srila Prabhupada. So we follow that process, chanting and other activities of bhakti. So anarthas get purified. So that's where we start. Okay. So yes. So now we can discuss. So it's okay. I think like this point is there. So it's there. They can be simultaneously later on, but for a start, we follow the process, and anarthas get purified. So I think
Yes,
some
Prabhu. Yes.
some message is there. Sorry, Mataji. Is it clear? Okay.
Yes.
Oh, Mayuresh Prabhu is saying that his bandwidth is not there, so he can't turn on his video. So is there any other questions from other devotees, please? Now we have a little bit time, so I also want to request His Grace Amrish Prabhu, if because these two questions are also very important questions, if he can please explain a little bit more on those points, Prabhuji.
Sure. Can we repeat the question, please?
Okay.
Yes, Prabhuji. The first thing was regarding that one line that says that in this, when one has developed such attachment, he can spontaneously serve the lotus feet of Krishna, even without following the regulative principles. So, like, it was just regarding confirming what this meant, that without following regulative principles.
So I'm sorry, what is the question?
The question, it was more of a clarification that it's not that they don't follow the regulative principles, it's that they don't think of acting in any different way. And just basically understanding that if they're just like for the elevated devotees or the advanced devotees, it does not mean that the regulative principles are still not in place. It's just that because they are so advanced that they it is their second nature. It becomes their second nature to act in that way.
Yeah, that is correct. It becomes second nature to act in that way. And so that is a correct answer there. And these are new points for all of you, and excuse me, for all of us as well. Although we've been studying it for so many years. So what derives us in our motivation is that we follow the regulative process. They also do. Who think they do not do? They are very strict in it. But artificially, you may seem that they are not following. And this will be understood with experience. So it's not a black and white to say that they will neglect. They don't neglect. Our thinking is such that we start to think that they neglect the process of devotion. All this, but they're not neglecting anything. Yeah. So they are very much in tune with doing things. Yeah. And as we will associate more personally, we can share only so much in a class, So that's where when there's a chance, when our seniors would come to India, where the places are, and we all can come together and spend some more time. That is when we'll be able to understand these concepts a little better. Because right now it may seem that it's quite very black and white, that we neophyte to follow, seniors don't have to follow. It's not that. It's not they have to follow. They do follow. Very much so. Okay. And even by what we follow, which they may not, they are instructing us to follow. This is a bit of a oxymoron statement. So this will be, as I said, understood when, as you grow, as you progress, you experience this and associate with those kind of right devotees. And it is very important to know who are those kind of right devotees. Not that there are thousands of people following somebody, you may assume that they are the same, which may be true, it may not be true. That's why these things are to be followed very importantly. Okay, is that okay? These are very important verses, texts. You have to very delicately navigate this because it's a first point of entry for all of your new devotees. And at the same time, these are the points which is for advanced devotees giving information. So we may not be advanced, but we may have some experience dealing with some advanced devotees, a little bit of experience, not too much. So, is that okay? I've given the answer, yet not given, but I will still satisfy your queries, because it's a very good query. It's natural to come from this. Okay? And the second point?
The second point was regarding this, that Chaitanya Charitamrita advises those who are neophytes to give up all kinds of motivated desires and simply engage in the regulative devotional service of the Lord according to the directions of scripture. So my question was that the two things, how do they happen? Sorry, Prabhuji?
Could you repeat this again, please? Excuse me.
Yes.
Could you repeat this question again, please?
Yeah, I'm just reading from the paragraph right now that Chaitanya Charitamrita advises those who are neophytes to give up all kinds of motivated desires and simply engage in the regulative devotional service of the Lord according to the direction of scriptures. So there are two things, and one is to give up all motivated desires, and then to engage in regulative devotional service. So my question was more surrounding that how do both of these things happen simultaneously, or is it one the byproduct of the other?
Yeah, see, it's not that all of you, anyone who starts devotional service automatically reduces his or her motivated desires to some extent, which you may not experience, but people surrounding you will say there's some change in you. Yeah, you experience this, all of you youngsters? They say there's some change in you. Yeah. So how did that happen? How do you explain this? So there is no step 1, step 2, step 3. Yes, there is a process to go through, but this is a devotional process. And that's the reason why there is a danger that it can be misunderstood and taken very lightly. You see? And that is the reason why the answer is there is no 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, but it works together. Attachment to Krishna is reduction of material things, in simple terms. Sorry. Does it answer your question, Mother?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, I get that.
As I said again, these are the questions which would be more answered when we could see practically things, And that's why our main intention now is about our personally associating with all the devotees together, Okay, Sanjeev Prabhu, you got your...
Yes, Prabhuji. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for clearing these points. So,
thank you. Srila Prabhupada ki jai,
ki jai. I think it's no other questions from devotees. So we conclude this verse now. But if you have any questions on these points or the last week points, you can post in our intermediate group by Wednesday, and then Yeah, otherwise we'll start the next verse from next week. All right, so okay, we'll stop here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Srila Gurudev ki jai. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.